Hi, I'm Heather. Welcome to the Knits and Things podcast. This is episode 9. I have a ton to talk to you about today, so I'm going to try and make this quick. I'm considering recording every week rather than every 2 weeks because I feel like the podcasts run really, really long because everything builds up for so long. So I'm going to try and go through things pretty quickly. I'm going to probably skip a lot of the preparation stuff, a lot of the chit-chat stuff in the beginning, because I don't know that you're really interested in that. So I did want to just give a quick, brief recap. This week has been very crazy. The teaching world is not so. This is the end of the first quarter, the first marking period for the year. And things just keep getting crazier and crazier, although this week has started out crazy and I felt very overwhelmed and things kind of settled down a little bit. I don't know exactly who watches this, so I'm not going to say too much. The only thing I can say is it's interesting to have important people's kids in your class, and we'll leave it at that. So I apparently have a VIP in my room this year, and because of that, I was told about it a couple weeks ago, and I said, okay, I'll believe it when I see it, but I'll welcome the help if I get it. I got a classroom aide this week. It's like not heard of in my county. Not heard of at all. Classroom aides just to help the teacher out, that doesn't happen unless you have somebody important in your class. So I was told about it a couple weeks ago. As a matter of fact, it was actually just before the day before the government shutdown. So I don't know if other people in other parts of the country, I'm sure, have heard of it because it was a big national thing. But this area definitely was hit because I'm just outside D.C. and we have lots and lots of government workers as parents, school members, family members of our school. So it was just before that day, and I remember driving to work the day that they shut everything down. I'm thinking, this has to be a misappropriation of funds if I get an aid and nobody else does. Because remember, my son goes to the school where I teach. So when I was told this, I'm thinking, well, what about his classroom? And what about the other classroom in first grade where I teach? What about them? Do they get an aid? It boggles my mind, makes me laugh. So my assistant arrived this week with no notice. I looked up and my principal was walking in my room with a person. I assumed it was a parent, and nope, it was my paraprofessional. So she's there to help out, and she's pretty good. We have some things to work out, but she's comfortable being in a classroom. She's very helpful, very willing, very able-bodied, and able to help, and so I'm sure it'll be a wonderful asset once I calm down and figure out exactly what to do with her, because I have never had just a classroom aide. I had my second year teaching, I had a dedicated assistant, but she was technically there for just one student. Now her student did a lot of maturing over the year after she was assigned to him, and she wasn't really needed for him that much, so she did do a lot of helping me out in the classroom. But yeah, I've never had a classroom aide, so I don't quite know what to do with myself. So that's my teaching world. In other news, the kid. The kid is the kid. He's being 11, going on 12, getting himself in trouble. He's a patrol at school, and he got himself fired this week. Yeah. And we had already had the warning. The teacher who's in charge of the patrols had let Zachary and I know both at the same time that he was on a warning, and he was going to need to watch himself because he needed to continue being a fine, upstanding student, because the patrols are like the leaders of the school, and he can't go cutting up and acting silly, and darn if he didn't continue doing it. So he got his patrol belt taken away. I told him I wasn't too happy with him, and I'm getting mixed reactions from my punishment of him. I've told him that he had mentioned to me he's never done it before. He did try when he was like 4, I think. But he usually in the winter we don't do a sport. Sometimes we have him in a swim clinic to keep his skills up for the summer. But normally he's just a kid and he focuses on his school. And this year he's asked to do basketball, which again he's never done before. I think he's only doing it because his buddies want him to, which is all fine and good. We do things because we want to please our friends, and we want to, stay chummy with our friends, and that's fine. But not when you're cutting up and getting fired from being a patrol at the school where your mother teaches. So, for right now, the talk about basketball is over, but we shall see if anything else pops up for the winter. So, we'll see. The short days in the winter and the rush times just make winter activities, for me anyway, just feel so rushed and so laborious. Usually what I do is I pack up my classroom a little bit early and I take papers with me and I sit and I grade papers wherever it is that he's doing his thing. If it's at a pool before a swim clinic or whatever it is he's doing. Sometimes he has lacrosse clinics. And I do a similar thing, but it takes a lot out of me to do stuff on the shortened days, and just when there's no sunlight, I get zapped for energy teaching anyway, and so I also wanted to talk very, very quickly, because I said I wasn't going to talk, but I also wanted to talk about a question that was asked in the post about becoming a teacher and what the best route was to becoming a teacher for somebody that was young and was thinking about going into the profession. I don't know about the best way. There are plenty of teachers that I've dealt with working with interns from Bowie State University that are, young people that went to college right out of high school and go right into teaching and seem to do an okay job. I think the maturity can help. I think I was older when I went into teaching, and I know that interns that I've had that were older when they came to me seem to do better, because teaching is a lot of responsibility. You're in charge of somebody else's kids for an entire day, and it's not just 1 or 2 kids, it's 30 kids for an entire day. So I think a level of maturity is needed. The way I went into the way I went into teaching was not the traditional route. I was an older student when I went through teaching. I actually started teaching when I was 30. Was I 30? 29. 29? Yes, I was 29 the first year I taught. And I was not certified. I had an English degree, a Bachelor of English, Bachelor of Arts in English from University of Maryland, and I went into teaching as a provisional teacher. I would not recommend that at all. When you go in and you're provisionally certified, there's a lot of extra coursework and extra classwork and extra hoops you have to jump through, and I don't recommend anything extra when you're teaching. Teaching takes enough out of you. So what I did when I was working as a provisional teacher, I was told point blank that I needed X amount of credits in order to gain my certification, which at the time what they were telling me, I needed more credits to get certified on my own than if I would have just gone and gotten a master's degree. So what I ended up doing was, once my son was born, I stayed out of teaching until after I had earned my master's. I went back to school. I actually did everything online. I went to University of Phoenix online, and I did my Master's of Education through University of Phoenix. And I didn't go back to teaching until I was certified with my master's. I'm actually certified to teach, nationally certified, not board certified, but I can teach in most states in the country based on my certification, because most states recognize other state certifications, and the state where I was certified, because it was University of Phoenix, I actually was certified to teach in Arizona, which has some of the highest score standards for the praxis scores, which is the teacher's test that is nationally accepted these days. And with their scores, I can pretty much teach in most schools. I think Virginia, maybe New York, had higher scores. I never wanted to teach in Virginia or New York, so I don't know if my scores would allow me to teach there or not. But my certification came originally from Arizona, and then Maryland gave me a reciprocal certification based on holding the certification for Arizona. So I did everything to teach as if I was going to teach from Phoenix, Arizona, right? University of Phoenix, Arizona. Did I say the right state? I hope I did. All right, so that's how I went into teaching. I was actually a much older student, and when I was doing University of Phoenix, I actually felt like it gave me an advantage because doing everything online, you still had to have coursework and classwork and observation time in classrooms, and so I did a lot of my observations. I had to find my own places to do them. I did some of them at, because I was taking classes even over the summer, so I did some at summer camps and places like that. I did some in the special education school that I worked at for most of the time that I was teaching. I worked as just an assistant in a classroom. So I did some there, but my students at that special education school were so very different from a normal mainstream school population that I had to find other places to observe as well. And so I actually ended up doing a lot of observations at another school where I transferred to for my second year. I taught another school, not taught, I was an assistant again in another classroom at a school in a county where I currently teach. And then when I had to do my student teaching, I decided I didn't want to teach there. So I went to my local neighborhood school, which is where I've been for the last 8 years. 9 years if you count my student teaching. So the experience there and going out and having to find my way and find classrooms and volunteer and ask for time in a classroom was really helpful. So that would be my main thing, is to tell people that if they're thinking about going into education, go into a school, volunteer, make your presence known, make your wishes known, make your thoughts and dreams known, and have people see what you have to offer for education and offer to maybe possibly their school. And if they like what they see, they'll ask you back and they'll try and find a place to fit you in. We have several volunteers at my school that are very beloved because of the time and the love and the dedication that they put into the school and the kids. So volunteering is great, and getting yourself out there and in a school environment and in a classroom is, I think, a really good step forward. So on to the knitting, right? So this week I'm going to talk about thing 1, thing 2, fox and socks, and enabling in several forms. So the first thing for thing 1, finished object. Anybody? Finished object? So I finally finished Dahlia. I wove in all the ends. I sewed down that lace panel, and I wore it. And I'm not 100% thrilled with it. Let me put my knitting down. The lace panel, I'm not thrilled with how the lace panel looks on me. I know a lot of people did modifications for this sweater. If you look this up, this is the Dahlia cardigan from Interweave Fall 2011. And there are lots of people that have done modifications. But at the time, I was on a time crunch, and I was trying to fit in with a knit-along that I was participating in that I did not make, but I was just knitting. I was just doing what the pattern said and not thinking about modifications, not thinking about alterations and how to do things, because that really slows me down. I usually stop and pause and think for a long time about how to get something accomplished when I want to change it around. So I did not do any alterations, and I should have. I'm not pleased with how it fits at all. I think it looks okay as a drape front cardigan, like it is. I don't know that I can stand up. I'm very close to the camera. And this is, once again, another setup. I hope it's not too glaring. I hope this glare right here from my ceiling fan is not causing anybody's eyes to twitch or anything. So I don't know, if I stand up, I don't think you're going to be able to see anything really. So I'm going to try and raise up just a little bit. But I am not pleased with the shoulders at all. They feel like they're falling off of me right now. I feel like the cardigan is trying to droop off because there's no shaping. It's just straight knitting. And where I picked up is not very good either. You can see holes and see, it's just, this should be the top of my shoulder, which means it should be here, but there's nothing to make it stay there because the rest of this is all just knitting. So I don't know. The drape front I do like. I think it looks very nice as a drape front cardigan. And the lace panel is beautiful. I can show you that. And it's all attached, and I think it's very pretty. But I just, I'm not thrilled. Again, I did a horrible job picking up. You can see that big gap. So I need to go back and fix that. That's something I can do. Also wearing a purple shirt underneath. really hype that because nobody noticed the other day when I wore it, but lots of people noticed the first day I wore it because I wore a tan shirt underneath it. I wore a tan shirt and jeans because I thought that a tan shirt and jeans or khakis would be a great underneath portion to have this as the over portion. I don't know. So I don't know. I like it. I love the feel of the silky wool. I'm glad that I finally have a garment that's finished that fits in the silky wool, although I'm still not happy with the fit. So it's finished. I've got to think of something else to do to make it fit better. The first day I wore it, I did close it up with a shawl pin, and I'll include pictures either at the end, or maybe I might have stuck them in here. You might be seeing them. You might see them in a minute. You might have already seen them. I wore it closed with a shawl pin. I don't know. And the shawl pin might have helped it to stay in place a little more, but I still felt like I was pulling on it all day long. Like I wanted it to be somewhere else because it feels like it's falling off. So, I don't know. Possibly taking it up and then doing a tuck or two so that it stays. Doing a tuck or two up here. I don't know. So I'm going to go back and read pattern notes and see what other people have done to alter it, but I'm not happy. Not happy. So, it's warm, and it's finished. Done. All right, I'm looking for my next. So this is the only finished object I have. I have not finished anything else. But I started another knit along. And I should mention that I'm out. I'm done. I'm out of the Knitting Samurai +1 color knit along. I got stuck on the pattern and I kept knitting and reknitting and knitting and reknitting the same 2 or 3 rows. And I thought there's a better use of my knitting time. So I ripped it out. I will start it again. I'll start that was the one with the, for the Knitting Samurai podcast with the Inspiration Dye Works yarn. Beautiful yarn that I was going to do in the Stitch Surfer. Yes, in the Stitch Surfer pattern for some socks for my sister for Christmas. And I will do those for Christmas. I won't be able to finish it for the knit along. And I don't have that much time to sit and start and figure out the pattern again. I have just plain stockinette time right now. And you'll see all my projects. That's all I'm doing. So I did start with my Yarn Snobs group. I'm in a group called Yarn Snobs Incorporated on Ravelry. And it's some very snobby ladies that love some snobby yarn. No, the yarn is snobby. They are not. They're very nice ladies. And we started a sock head knit along. So this is my first sock head hat. This is the progress so far. So I would guess I'm about 4 inches. Yeah, maybe about 4 inches into the stockinette portion. And I love this yarn. I love this pattern. This is going to be like my go-to project. I'm going to knit sock head hats all winter long. So this one is... I started out saying this one is going to be for my son's reading teacher. I don't think it's going to be. I really like this yarn. When I started knitting with it, I thought, oh, this is that yarn that I tried that Cookie A sock in that I got mixed up on. And I ripped it out. And this is Malabrigo. And I originally started and the ball band was missing from the yarn. But when I started knitting, I remembered, oh, this is that Malabrigo yarn. And the Yarn Snobs told me that this is not only Malabrigo, or Brigo, however you say it, but this is the Solis colorway. And it's gorgeous. It's got different blues and teals and green. Sometimes it's a baby blue. Sometimes it's a leaf green. Sometimes it's a forest green. It's so pretty. Oh, there's some of that baby blue right there. So pretty. And it's so squishy. I don't know. So if I end up not giving this to her and keeping it, I will knit something else for her. But I do have a backup plan. If I do want to give this to her, I do have more yarn that I'm going to do. So my next sockhead hat will be done in this yarn. And this is some leftover creatively dyed, I think it's Calypso. I don't remember the colorway name. I want to say it's Queen. But isn't that a yarn? Isn't that one of her yarns? One of her yarns is Queen. So that can't be the colorway, right? Maybe it's creatively dyed Queen in the colorway Calypso. I don't know. It's creatively dyed. It's beautiful. I love her dyeing. I love, love, love her dyeing. And I heard she was at Rhinebeck, so I hope she's back on her feet and producing wonderful yarns again. And it looks very pink on the screen, so I hope it's not. When I'm looking at it here, it's very orange overall. Very orange and yellow and red and brown, and it looks very pinky on there. Pink and yellow is what it looks like on there when it's much deeper here. So this is beautiful yarn. I use this in a shawl that I'll show you one of these days when I do a what you wearing segment. So this is going to be a sock head hat too. Definitely. I weighed this skein, and this skein weighs a little bit more than my original skein of Malabrigo. So I think I can do it. I think. All right. So that's the sock head hat. I don't know who wrote the pattern, but that's the sock head hat, and it's on Ravelry, and it's gorgeous. So and I'm silly, and I completely forgot to share my works in progress for thing 1. Silly. So works in progress. Again, I ripped out the sock for the knit along with Knitting Samurai. Sorry, I just had a brain fart. So this, I have been working on my Dahlia a lot. You saw the sock head, but you did not see Dahlia. So Dahlia, I don't know if I showed this part or not, but this is the body of Dahlia up to where the sleeves will join in. And that is done. And I've started the sleeves. I'm knitting the sleeves 2 at a time. I'm in between right now, but you can tell that that's 2 sleeves. I'm knitting the sleeves 2 at a time. Here's 1 sleeve. Here's 2 sleeves on 1 circular needle. So I'm doing them in the round magic loop. I gave them a hemmed edge, just like I gave the edge of this a hem. I think I might have done 1 less row on the cuff, which I think is perfectly fine since the cuff is smaller. Although no, that looks pretty even. No, I think it's 1 row off. I think this is 5. I think I did 6 here. And I have to knit for a while straight. So this is my knitting. I'm about to go knit on this while my son and I catch up on TV shows from the week. This is out of Miss Babs sock yarn. It's the Vlad's colorway and the Babette yarn. Right? Yes, I think. But gorgeous yarn. Gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. And I'm enjoying knitting it so much. I was so glad when I finally got off my bum to figure out how to do my cast on for the 2 at a time. I had done 2 at a time before, but never with sleeves, which is, I mean, it's not much different. I think each of those sleeves was 62 stitches around, which is pretty much a sock, right? It looks kind of like 2 sock cuffs. So I just had to figure out how to restart because it's been years since I did the 2 socks at a time double on the magic loop. So that's one project. And again, just stockinette. Like I said, I've been so burnt out lately on grades and all the crazy stuff that they're making, all the crazy paperwork stuff that they're making us do at school, which has nothing to do with the children. It has everything to do with some person pushing paper in an office, and it really irritates me and stresses me out, and I can do nothing but knit stockinette. Yay! So the other thing I decided was, because I'm doing everything on such small needles, you know, the sock head hat is on size 3s, this is on size 4s, so I needed something a little bit bigger. So since I finished this, I dragged back out my Water's Edge cardigan. So my Water's Edge cardigan is to the point where I've done the pleat, and I'm just knitting around and around and around and around and around on the pleat. And it's been a while since I showed this because I kind of put it on the back burner since it's a little heavier weight cardigan, and I figured I would need the folded cardigan first. But this is out of Malintosh DK in the Waterwell colorway, which I think is so very pretty. And I love the smell of Malintosh. They use vinegar, right, to set their yarn. I think it smells wonderful. It smells like preserved yarn. Pickled yarn. So I'm just knitting around and around and around on the cuff, and it takes forever. I am also switching yarn every 2 rows. So I have 2 balls going, and I switch yarn every time I go up and back. Then I switch and wrap the yarn, which I think makes it look really nice and neat, besides where I stopped and started my ball of yarn. But I think it makes a really nice, neat edge there too as you carry it up. So So this is getting worked on as well. I might actually work on this while we do our listening, our watching of our TV shows. So I didn't want to go through thing one without showing what I'm actually actively working on, since I know some people have seen these things on Instagram as well. I didn't want anybody going, she's so silly. She didn't even show us her works in progress. What kind of podcaster is she? Ah. So those are the things that I'm working on, and that finishes up thing one onto thing two. Socks. Actually, I don't know that I'm going to talk about socks and socks. I left my traveling socks way over there. I have still 3 traveling socks. I actually mailed one off, and then the next day I got the next one back in the mail. So, traveling socks are still going. I'm still turning a heel on one, and then I have 2. The last 2 to work on as cuffs. There's still 1 sock that I have not seen in the group, which means my sock is only 2 mailings away from me, and it would be finished. So I need to get cracking and make sure that everybody gets their stuff back. So that's Fox and Socks. I ripped out the 1 sock that I was working on. I have 3 traveling socks to work on. That's my sock knitting these days, and that's all. I am, though, going to be participating with a couple friends in the group on Ravelry, and we're going to try and spin some sock yarn. So if you want to spin sock yarn, you might want to join us. We're going to have a virtual knit night on Sunday night, this Sunday, October 27th. Yes, Sunday, October 27th at 8 o'clock p.m., I believe Eastern Time we said. I think we're all on Eastern Time. I think we are. We're going to do a virtual knit night, and we're going to do a little bit of spinning together, because we're all going to try and spin for sock yarn. So I think it might be fun to do a little bit of this together as the group, in the group. Just in along. I don't know that there'll be prizes to go along with it unless I clean out my stash and find some prizes to give away, which could happen. So we're going to spin some sock yarn, and then I think we'll probably knit some socks together. I don't know that there's any plans to do anything the same other than spin sock yarn. So if you would like to do some spinning with us, or some knitting with us, or some chatting with us, I think Sharon, her name is Sharon V in the group, is kind of setting everything up. I've never been part of a virtual knit night. I've heard about it, but I've never done it. So I don't know exactly what's involved. It involves Google Hangouts. So come on by and chat with us and knit with us or spin with us if you would like to, Sunday night. All right. So the main thing I want to talk about today is Spinzilla. Yay! Oh my gosh, can I tell you how much fun I had at Spinzilla? So Spinzilla was an event put on by the people for TNNA. What is it? The National Needle Arts Association? The National Needle Arts Association? I think so. And it was to promote spinning awareness. You did have to pay a small entry fee to join in on the festivities, and then that money went for spinning awareness and for promoting spinning and keeping the awareness of spinning up. And I think they even go into schools and do like learn to spin classes for younger people, I think, to kind of keep the craft going. And so the goal was to spin everything you could. You could join a team, or you can spin as a road spinner. And I joined in with the Knit Girls team, along with 24 other people. And we spun as much as we could. And we had a great time. And we came in second place. I know the thing was when the whole thing first started, Leslie and Laura were like, we want to win, dude. We want to win. If you're joining, you're spinning, because we're going to win. And we came really, really close. The team that won did like 94,000 yards. And our team did 80, or did they do 92 and we did 84? Either they did 92 and we did 84, or they did 94 and we did 82. So it was awesome. We spun a lot. I did not spin as much as everybody else, but I still think I spun a lot. That was a lot for me. That was a lot. It was a lot. And I really had fun. I did a lot of, my family kind of said, oh, she's in this contest. Let her spin. She's got this to do. Let her spin. So I did a lot of, I would work. I would leave work early. I'd bring home work with me. I'd spin for a little bit, and then I'd work for a little bit, and then I'd spin for a little bit and work for a little bit. And after dinner, I would just spin, and I would listen to my book, or I would watch a podcast. And it was a really great week. I wish every week could be like that because it was really nice and peaceful and relaxing and non-stressful. I will admit that towards the end, I really wanted to knit something because I didn't knit the whole week. I just, whatever extra time I had, I spent spinning. But it was so nice and peaceful and relaxing. I loved it. I loved it. So I want to show you what I spun. All right, so I've got my notes here so I can tell you how much I spun. All right, so here's some stuff. And so, like I said, my number was not large, so if you think what I spun is a lot, you ain't seen nothing yet. I should get the name of the people that spun the most, because they were just amazing, amazing amounts. So this yarn, this is singles, and this was from a bat from Babester Fiber Arts. Matter of fact, this is the bag that it came in, Babester Fiber Arts. And you might have seen, I showed this before the Spinzilla started, and it was a big bat, and the bat was called Ireland. And it has some sparkle in it, and some lovelies in it. This one is not, you can tell because it's all still kinky curly. I did not put it, ooh, look at that girl. I did not soak this yet because I want to actually two-ply this to try and even it out some. I went back to long draw with this skein. But this skein was really, the bat was really funky. It had a bunch of stuff just thrown in it, so it was not the easiest thing to long draw. It's probably not the best idea. But I think it turned out really nice. I love the colors. I love how the colors are spread throughout it. And I think if I give it a two-ply, I think it's going to even it up just that little bit. There's 305 yards right now, so I guess technically I should get 150 yards out of it, right? And I think it'll be just enough to put as an accent somewhere or to use as something. But this is actually slated for a gift. So hopefully, look at that section right there. Hopefully the recipient likes it. All right, so that was my Ireland bat. This was 305 yards. So there's a start. Then the next is two skeins. One skein was spun during Spinzilla and one was not. One was my test yarn before Spinzilla. So this was Scoosh Yarns, and I heard somebody mention this group, this company, on their podcast earlier this week, so I think they're still out there. Remember I said I bought this a long, long time ago when I first started spinning before I even had a wheel, so it was at least, how long ago was, oh, it was at least 4 years ago, because I bought a spinning wheel during Snowmageddon. So Scoosh Fibers and Yarns, and they're an Etsy store. And these two bats, or two braids, were called Nantucket, and it's 30% superwash merino and 70% superwash merino, 30% alpaca. I spun these up as singles on purpose, and then I beat the crap out of them. So hopefully they're felted down and will not go anywhere now. There's a little bit, you can see, very felted. And I think these are really, really nice. And all together, I don't know how much I have all together because they're not marked. But this, I think the first skein I did before Spinzilla was 200 yards, right at 200 yards, maybe like 205, and the other was 185. I don't know which one is which. I think this is the one I did during Spinzilla. So I think that happened when I washed that skein. But I think the skeins are pretty evenly matched. And this is the gray that has all those lovely, wonderful colors in it. Really, really nice. Really, really nice. And you see some sparkle, but the sparkle is because it's been living in the bag with the Ireland. So that was another 185 yards for Spinzilla. The other things I have not taken off the bobbins yet. I wanted to let them sit, and with one of them, I'll show you the loop bat next, I was a little concerned because I think it got way overspun. So I definitely wanted to just sit there for a while. So I did spin my first loop bat, and I love it. It's gorgeous. There was a little more green to this, but I took that off to weigh it. And I don't know if I weighed them correctly, but the part that I took off, I actually broke off when I weighed it. I don't know if I was supposed to. You can see them all down there. See all those little teeny skeins? I took them off the bobbin to weigh them. Is that wasting? I'm probably not going to use them again, right? I don't know. So they're off anyway. It was only like about 10 yards each time. So, but this is a loop bat, or was a loop bat. And from this, I got, are you ready? 496 yards. I should be still. 496 yards. 496 yards. And look how thin that is. And look how even it is. Oh my goodness. Let me cover up my face so it focuses on the bobbin a little more. I was very impressed with myself in this. I think this is very nice and thin. I'm toying with the idea of leaving it as a single, so I have a bazillion yards, 496 of them to be exact, to do a shawl with. Or I might do a Navajo ply. But then I'd only wind up with like right at 200 yards, right? I don't know. It's so pretty. It's very pretty. This was the springtime bat. I don't know if that was the name of it, but it's all colors of springtime. I want to say it was something other than that. The name did not say springtime, but that's the idea you got when you saw it. So 496 yards. The next one I'm calling my earth bat, or my earth skein. This was, and I do not have the tag for this because it's missing. This was a braid that was all these different colors, and I thought they were really pretty in the braid, so I bought it. And this was a combination of some kind of wool and silk. I don't remember which wool. I'm sorry. I'm horrible. I'll put it in the show notes when I find the tag. But this had a silk component to it. And again, gorgeous. And this one, get ready. I long drew. I did the long draw. Oh my gosh, this is long draw. This is long draw. And this is why I say, holy moly, now I can spin for socks because I figured it out. I got the confidence when I did when I did the Ireland bat. I remembered the motions for long draw, and I tried it, and I totally did it. I totally did it. So this one, I was afraid to do this, but I tried it with this little skein, and it worked. Because while I was spinning the Ireland one, I thought, I bet I can do long draw if it's the right feeling bat or the right feeling braid. And this one was just a scrap that was left over from when I was trying to do some Turkish spindling, but it was on a big Turkish spindle and I didn't like it. So this is what was left over, and it totally worked. And look how even and thin my singles are. It was like an epiphany. Oh my gosh. So long draw and long draw. The pink, oh no, this is the purple mix. This was 254 yards on this little thing. 254 yards, and like half of the bobbin is taken up. Half. Oh my goodness. And so this earth skein, 503 yards. 503 yards. And long draw. Oh my gosh. So this is totally getting Navajo plied. This is getting Navajo plied, and I'm going to pray and hope that I have enough for socks when I'm done. So Navajo plied takes it down, takes 2/3 out, right? It should only be 1/3 of the yardage left when you're done, because you're plying it on itself, 3-plying it on itself, chain plying it on itself. So 200 yards, 246, not even 200. It's only gonna be 170 something, right? If I do other toes and heels, I could do it, right? These are going to be socks. These are going to be socks, I promise. And so that's my goal, is to do some long draw on Sunday night start it Sunday night in the virtual group and spin for some socks. That's my goal, spin for some socks. All right, so purple mix, 254 yards, earth, 503 yards. The one thing I do not have up here is a little skein that's actually still on the wheel that I finished with. I was done. All of this I finished at about 10 something, and I was like, dude, I totally have like an hour and a half left, because you had until midnight to do it. And so I grabbed a little braid that was left over, like halfway left over, and I spun that up, And I think I said for the pink, I got another 129 yards out of it. Once I weighed it, doing the little bobbin measurement, bobbin weight, and then full bobbin weight measurement. I got 129 yards out of that for a total of 1,872 yards. So I hope I get to participate again next year, and I hope to get 2,500 yards. So I want to increase, definitely want to increase. I might not be allowed on if I'm only doing 2,500 yards. Maybe my long draw will be so good by then, though, that I'll be able to do my 3,000 yards and earn my keep. So, and I was so excited when I was doing this. When I wrote down my yardage, I totally wrote the yardage as money. Look at my notes. That doesn't look like it, but that is my dollar sign, because my handwriting is horrible. Anytime other than when I have to write on the board for my children, my handwriting is horrible. 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 Those are my notes. These are my podcast notes. It's horrible. It's pitiful. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But I can make it neat when it counts. So that was Spinzilla. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I love that we came in second place. I wish we had come in first place, but I'm pretty stoked about second place. It's like, oh, yeah, I participated in this contest where spinners from all across the country were spinning as much as they could, and my team came in second. So, I don't know. So, this brings me to a dilemma. You're going to laugh in just a minute. You're going to crack up laughing and be like, what is that girl's problem? I need help. So if you spin and you knit with your finished project, can you share what you do with your yarn? Because I think out of all the yarn that I've spun, and I'm going to show you some, I think I've knitted with my own spinning, maybe, possibly 2 times. Sorry for all the shaking. I'm checking the time. Maybe 2 times. I have a ton of yarn that I've spun, and I don't knit with it. This one's even caked up. I don't knit with it. I don't knit with it. This was done on my hitchhiker. I don't even own the hitchhiker anymore. I sold it and got an Ashford. I don't knit with it. So if you knit with your yarn that you create, can you tell me what the best thing is to do, and what some good patterns are that you've used and your hand spun has looked awesome in? I think it's so precious that I'm afraid to do something with it and be disappointed. You know how you do that with skeins that you bought? Well, dude, I didn't just buy this. I sweated for this yarn. I want something awesome to do. So please share and save me from myself. All right, so that is my spinning. That is thing 2. On to Everyone Needs a Need, and I'm going to show you some enabling. All right, so my enabling, the only thing I have that's brand new is my loop back, and then we're going to kind of sort of move into, so the spinning that you just saw, that was enabling. We're going to kind of sort of move into, so my enabling, the only thing I have that's brand new is my loop back, and then we're going to kind of sort of move into, so the spinning that you just saw, that was enabling. We're going to kind of sort of move into my hopes and dreams if I have time. I might get called because I have family waiting out there to leave to go to a movie. So this is the last loop bat in my club. I'm a little sad, especially because I don't want to rejoin it right now. I do want to rejoin it right now, but I don't because I'm saving money. So this bat is called Indian Summer. Hello. And perfect timing, by the way, right? Perfect timing, because some people just got through with their Indian Summer. Some people might still be having it, but we are heading towards winter very quickly. It's cold here these days. So Indian Summer, look at that. Purpley gray and all the lovely autumn colors and the pink on the outside. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So I'm going to have fun spinning this as well. I really, really love it. Really, really love it. Yeah, I'm going to really enjoy that. That's the only new, oh no, it's not the only new thing I have. I purposely set this up. This is my stash. This is some of my stash. This is the stash that's in my bedroom. But I do have new Leading Men Fiber Arts. There's a little bit. This is their DK weight. Deep Sea colorway in the Dramaturg base. The Dramaturg is their DK. And this is Leading Men Fiber Arts. So that's them. I also have a skein of their worsted weight. This one is the London Fog colorway, and their worsted weight is called Box Office. This is going to be a trilobite hat for a gift. And the blue is what I'm going to use next month in the Knit Along for Diabetes Awareness. So if you remember about that from last time, I'm going to do a knit along / education along with anything blue. This is going to be my blue for National Diabetes Month, which is November. And you can participate just by knitting something blue. I would like for you to be a member of the group though, please. So please join the group on Ravelry and knit something blue along with me. And hopefully someone will discuss with you your beautiful yarn, and you'll get to share and say, yes, I'm knitting blue because of National Diabetes Awareness Month, and then have just a general conversation about diabetes. And you don't have to know a ton to participate. The conversation is what I want to have happen. Open conversations about diabetes, about the fact that there are different types of diabetes, and that people get diabetes for different reasons and treat their diabetes differently no matter which type they have. So it's kind of just an education along, but it's to promote awareness. It's National Diabetes Awareness Month, and so we're going to knit blue and hope to make people more aware. And this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to actually knit this. I did have another finished object to show you. I'm actually going to knit this into a hat, and I'll show you that finished object in just a moment. I think that's the only new stuff I have to show you. No, it's not. This Posh yarn I got in a trade. My Yarn Snob group does a traveling yarn box where you get a box full of yummy yarn, and you get to choose 1 or 2 skeins to keep for yourself as long as you put something else back in. I totally put in a skein of Leading Men Fiber Arts. I put in their, it was a lightweight skein, a lightweight box, so I put in their, one of their fingering weight yarns in the Bahama Mama colorway. Oh my gosh, it was very hard for me to give that away, but I wanted this because I envision cable-y purple socks out of this. Yum! So this is Posh yarn, and this is Sadie Sock Wetted Bliss. It's sock yarn, 365 yards, 50% merino, 50% tencel. Yum, yum, yum. I know that's probably really delicate to do socks with, especially because it does say hand wash only, but that's going to be some beautiful cabled socks, right? Right? Yes, yes, yes. All right, so those are my new acquisitions. I do have another order in with Leading Men Fiber Arts because I want to knit a trilobite hat out of this, and my sister is telling me that the person I'm knitting it for, it's too dark for them. I say she's crazy, so I ordered another skein just in case, along with another skein just in case, and then whichever one I don't end up using for this first person, I'll use one of the remaining skeins for Zachary's other teacher, who is his math and science teacher, because of course a math and science teacher needs a trilobite hat, right? If you haven't seen the pattern, you should look it up on Ravelry because it's awesome. So I actually did some test knitting a while ago, and I could have shown you this during finished objects, but I've been hiding it for so long that I think I forgot. So I knitted for Amy of the Stockinette Zombies, Jane Knitma. I did a test knit for her, and this is not a perfect test knit because I'm crazy, and because I tried to knit this during my son's lacrosse games. Silly. So it's not a perfect hat. I messed up on the pattern in the beginning very, very much. You can see they don't line up there, but the lines here do. And so this is her Crush It pattern that she just sent out with her, with their birthday packages. And this is the hat. I'll put it on. It's kind of oversized. I actually knitted the large size, but with the shorter length, and I'm going to give it away. Let me see, I'm going to have to scrunch. I knitted the large size, but with the shorter length. There, that's where it needs to go. And I think it definitely needs the longer length. So I think the family member that I'm going to give this to will love it just this way. I think she's got a bit of a longer forehead than I do, so I think it'll fit her nicely, and it'll cover her ears. But when I do the next one, I want to knit this skein into this for my son's teacher if she doesn't get the sock head hat. So if she doesn't end up getting the sock head hat, then this is going to be for her. If she doesn't get the sock head hat, then this is going to be for somebody else. So I have until next. So I wanted to talk very quickly before I sign off, and then I need to hit the road so that my family can go to their movie. The October What You Knitting contest is still going on over in the group, and I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys, not thank yous guys. Thank you guys so much for participating and chatting with each other and chatting with me and showing me what you're knitting. Each person that shows an entry for what they're knitting gets put into a fishbowl at the end of the month, and I'm gonna pull a prize pull a name for a prize, and you will get to choose between some Araucania DK, which is really a light worsted. I think it's a little heavier than DK, or a skein of some opal sock yarn in one of the painter colorways. Remember, this is the painter. This is the painting. I think it's I don't remember his first name, but Klimt with the K, with all the shapes and abstract pieces. I love that. I love the painting, not so much the yarn, and I don't really like to have the opal against my feet because I'm very sensitive to real wool where my feet are concerned, my feet and my neck are concerned. So I have had this skein for a while and I'm not knitting it, so I might as well go to somebody who will knit it. So either one of these could be yours for participating in the What You Knitting. That's going to be over on Halloween night. So knit away, share away through Halloween. The next day on Friday I'll close the thread. I don't know how early it's going to be. Probably not early at all because I'm going to school and everything. But that would be over on Friday the 1st, and then I'll close one and start the next one. So that'll be, I'm hoping to just have that as kind of an ongoing sharing time. So that's that. This was the Crush It hat. It takes DK weight yarn. It's a very easy pattern when you're not watching a lacrosse game, and it's very nice. She said it was inspired by Candy Crush, which totally makes sense because it's crushing it, and there's all the things, all the rows to drop down and slide over and everything else. Very nice. I knit this one out of Debbie Bliss Rialto, which is a very, very nice yarn. I really like it. I love knitting with it. It's so soft and squishy. I did mention that the November Blue Knit Along is coming up for Diabetes Awareness Month. So be thinking about what you have in your stash that's blue that you could knit along with us. And I'm considering a 50-member pattern gifty. So I checked just before I started recording, we're at 45 members. So once we get to 50, which hopefully will be by next week, I think I'll do a random draw of the people that are in the group and give away a pattern. So it would be a pattern on Ravelry up to $7, just so that you could do it as a hat, or you could do it as a sweater, or you could do it as a sock or whatever. So look for that to come up next week as well. So there'll be 2 drawings next week, one for the October sharing thread, and one for the 50-member, hopefully, as long as we get to 50 by then, which is only 5 people away. So come on over and join us in the Ravelry group. Let's have conversations and share with each other rather than just me talking to you. Let's share with each other. Again, Sharon V and Heather, who is Bunnyfish, are I think both going to join me, or I'm going to join them because I kind of burst in on their conversation. I'm going to join them. We're all going to knit together on a virtual knit night. So if you want in on that, be sure to come by the October What You Knitting thread and peek in to see how to get set up with that. I think Sharon is going to do all the invites and sending so that you can participate in the same hangout with everybody. So come on by and share on Sunday night if you would like. Hopefully this will be up tomorrow. Tonight is Friday night, October 25th. So hopefully this will be up and running by tomorrow, which is October 26th. If not, then it'll be like Sunday morning. So hopefully somebody else gets to see this and gets to come by. If not, Sharon and Heather and I are going to be talking and spinning and chatting together. So until then, until I talk to you next time, or until I see you next time, I hope that your knitting makes you happy. Bye.